Welcome back to another episode of Red Titan. In today's video, the user asked the question, people who have had a near-death experience, what did you experience? And these are all the crazy answers you're never gonna believe. My buddy and I tried to swim across what looked like a calm river, but that day the dam went from releasing 8,000 gallons a minute to 10,000 gallons a minute. When this happens, the surface water looks calm, but what's below is a crazy, unexplainable shitstorm causing undercurrents. We jumped in and immediately felt so helpless. The undertow sucked us down and pinned us to the riverbed. I made eye contact with them, then like a cannon, it shot me out, and I was lucky enough to come to a beachhead right away. My entire body paired with dozens of fish, hooks, and line. When I made eye contact with my friend, that was the last time I seen him alive. The undertow released him just over 3 weeks later. I'll never forget what I was thinking when we made eye contact. I often wonder what his thoughts were besides our fear. I know I was begging him not to leave me because I felt so helpless, and he seemed so strong. Google what a face with fear underwater looks like. I attempted suicide when I was 16. I don't know what happened, but all I remember is waking up on my bedroom floor next to a puddle of puke. And the very second after I regained consciousness, I felt a terrible amount of shame and gratitude. It also felt like I had understanding something, but I can't quite put my finger on it. It's like I had a much more holistic view of the world. After the initial shock, I realized I would not even kill a bothersome bug in my house, yet I attempted to murder me. I was mad at myself for being the only person I would do that to. Overall, it was a very eye-opening experience. Felt much like after you've taken certain types of psychedelics. I had a large tumor that eventually forced me to get a hysterectomy. It was discovered after, pardon the graphic description, large pieces of my innards began to come out. I was weak and losing a lot of blood and eventually lost consciousness. While out, I heard a chorus of voices beckoning me to let go. It was very tempting, very pleasant, but I forced myself to swim back to reality and awaken in the emergency room. I could still hear the voices faintly. I think the most interesting part was the absolute knowledge I had afterwards that I had to eat more vegetable soup. The homemade vegetable soup was what my body would be needing, so I made it a lot. It's been 22 years and I'm fairly healthy for my age, knock wood. That's as close as I've gotten to an NDE. I was with my family at the beach in San Diego. I think it was early June a few years ago. We had gone out to the beach around 10 a.m. and the tide had been going out, so the water was pretty shallow for a long way out. Well, being 15, I of course wanted to go out as far as I could, ignoring my dad telling me to be careful. So sometime while being out there, the tide changed and the water started getting deeper. And right when I go to turn around and swim towards the shore, a riptide starts pulling me out. My dad is telling me I need to come back, and I'm frantically trying to swim towards shore until I realize I can't. I tell my dad I'm stuck, and he decides to try to help me get back, but ends up getting pulled out with me. At this point, we're both freaking out pretty bad, since the waves are getting really big since we're far out, and we start getting pulled under each time a wave goes by. The waves have gone tall enough that we couldn't really see the horizon or the shore, and we started waving and yelling for help, but for some reason, there was no lifeguard in spite of there being a station, and there wasn't that many people on the part of the beach we were at. So we're screaming for help, and my dad's trying to keep me above water, and I'm screaming help like I never have, and I honestly thought I was gonna die. Then my dad screams, "Lord Jesus, please help me," and instantly the ocean just went flat. I have no clue what happened, but all the waves just suddenly stopped, and some guy on a surfboard just showed up and offered us help. I had no idea where he came from, but me and my dad grabbed the surfboard and he helped us back to shore. If he hadn't shown up, or if the waves hadn't stopped, me and my dad would have most likely drowned. That was the only time in my life where I have physically had the urge to kiss the ground. I almost drowned in a wave pool. Both because I'm a teeny tiny and because I wasn't paying attention to the fact that I was being pulled out further each wave. I experienced a determination to live regardless of what effects it had on the other people around me. I almost drowned my cousin climbing up her back, and then I attached myself to some random man who walked me back to the artificial shore. Totally an move, but in the moment my only concern was surviving. I remember the conscious choice to continue to use my cousin as a flotation device, and once she went down, I abandoned her and grabbed the nearest person. Luckily, she's always been pretty tall and was able to just stand up, but that could have been much worse. Will eternally feel like the person. I was asleep and was woken up to my neighbor pounding on the door. He told me there was a fire and I had to get out. Let me tell you, my emergency plan had one step on it. The cat carrier is always clean and available. My first cat went in the carrier fine and sat in it while I retrieved his sister. I had to chase my second cat and she wouldn't go in. I finally get the cats wrangled about 3 minutes and I opened my front door to pitch black. It felt like I had all of the oxygen sucked from my lungs. My eyes were burning, my throat was burning. If there was still electricity in the building, it had cut out or the smoke was so thick and dark I couldn't see. I felt my way down the hall to the stairs. I couldn't breathe anymore and I fell down. I knew there were firefighters outside because I could hear them and I tried to scream for help, but I couldn't even inhale. I realized that no help was coming at all and stood the fuck back up and somehow powered my way out the building. There's a gap in my memory between falling and stumbling outside with the sweet embrace of fresh air. I asked some random guy if he had any water, and he gave me his half-drank bottle. I chugged the shit out of it and called my family to pick me up at 2 a.m. I got out with the clothes on my back and my cats. I vomited up black shit for days. I coughed and sneezed up more black stuff. I'm wheezing non-stop, but I made it out. I'm living in my aunt's basement, but I had cried happy tears every day I have my kitties. I was visiting Chernobyl on a small day trip from Kiev. Even though it was illegal, the guy let us go inside one of the huge apartment complexes, around 20 to 25 floors. We all went to the roof to get the full view of the area, and the guy told us we could check out some of the abandoned apartments on the way down if we wanted to. The majority of the group went inside the first apartment on the way down, but I thought I'd skip a few floors and go in one by myself. I went down to the 18th floor and inside an apartment. It was very dark inside and a lot of abandoned stuff on the floor. Old family photos and torn dolls. It was a bit creepy. I continued into another room, but it was too dark to see anything. So while walking, I took out my phone and turned on the flashlight. As it turned on, I was just about to step into an open elevator shaft going 18 floors down. I was literally one step from what would have been my death. I immediately stepped back and I felt an intense adrenaline rush. As scary as it was, I actually enjoyed the feeling, and I still get shivers down my spine just thinking about what happened. As a foolish teenager, I thought my life was over when I lost my high school sweetheart. In my naive mind, leaving was the only solution. After stealing a bottle of Ambien and looking up the necessary dosage, I committed to the action. I remember completely not understanding the gravity of what I had done. Once I was vomiting, hallucinating, and falling asleep all at once, it really hit me. Oh, I'm gonna die. I was emotionally torn between getting help because I realized I didn't actually want to die, versus the fear that I would get in trouble for what I had done. Parents found me stumbling around hallucinating. People who weren't there knew something was up. One hospital visit and charcoal pump later, and I could proudly say never again. Absolutely hellish and do not recommend. The experience scared me straight and showed me what most suicide survivors tell you. Only when you committed, you realize you don't want to die. You just want things different. 15-year-old brother actually died for half an hour. He has a weird named condition called Wolf-White syndrome. He had woke up one morning and complained of a headache and just dropped. His heart had stopped and his dad, my stepdad, did CPR as best he could until the ambulance arrived. He was put into a medically induced coma for a week, then woken up. Practically had no idea what happened. He's still being monitored and has regular checkups since this happened in May. Next week, I believe he is going to London to see a specialist and then have a pacemaker fitted. I asked him if he dreamt or experienced anything during his time out of it. He said there was nothing. It was just dark. After fainting one time, I clearly saw myself jogging during a sunset. There were green hills around me and a tree in the distance. It looked like a park, but I was jogging towards the sun, which was extremely bright, to the point that I couldn't see ahead of me. Thing is, this place doesn't exist because where I'm from, it's a desertic area, so there's not many green areas. When I woke up, I was in the hospital with a bunch of nurses around me asking if I knew my name, how old I was, etc. After I regained consciousness, I realized I was jogging towards the light. I told my mom and close friends and they freaked out. It hasn't happened since then. Hope you guys enjoyed that episode. If you did, please like the video, subscribe for more content coming soon, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.